Hey everybody, it's David, and this is my follow-up to the great album openers. I want to say first thank you to everyone that has made a video so far. I've seen 11. I've seen videos from Mazzy, Brendan, Mr. Hall of Fame, John at the Digital Gramophone, Final Richie, and so many others, Rob Walker. This time though, I'm going to share 10 albums that were released in the past 10 years. My first video was just classic rock albums, and this is more current stuff. Current, 20 years. So I'm going to start things off with the Foo Fighters, and this is their album Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace. And the album opener on this one is The Pretender. Starts off with just guitar and Dave Grohl's vocals accompanied by a cello. And then it just kicks in with snarling guitars, heavy drums. Just a great album opener to a great album from the Foo Fighters. Next is one that John shared in his previous video, but one that I will not dispute or argue against. But this is Siamese Dream from the Smashing Pumpkins, and the album opener is Cherub Rock. Starts off with this kind of a snare drum and guitars, and then it just kicks in with Billy Corgan and the rest of the band. Just a great album opener, again, to a great album. My favorite album from the Smashing Pumpkins. Speaking of John, I think he was expecting me to show some Oasis. I can't think of any great album openers from the Oasis albums. I guess if I had to choose one or two, I would say Do You Know What I Mean from Be Here Now, or Fucking in the Bushes from Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. But I decided to go with a solo Gallagher, and this is Noel Gallagher's first album, and the one I was looking forward to the most after the Oasis breakup. This is his debut album. It's self-titled, Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. And the opening track from this one is Everybody's on the Run. Starts off with drums and like this choir and strings, and then it kicks in with Noel singing his vocals. Always been a big fan of Noel Gallagher and his songwriting, and again, this is one I was really looking forward to when it came out, and my favorite so far of the 3 albums he has released. Alright, I've seen a lot of Dylan in some of these responses. I'm going to go with Dylan too, but this is Jakob Dylan. And this is his band, The Wallflowers. And this is their album, Bring Down the Horse. And the opening track from this album was One Headlight. I really like that kind of guitar opener with the vibrato or vibratone on it. And then it just kicks in with the kind of the marching drum sound, and then it just goes on from there. Just a great album opener, one of their first singles from this album, and one of my favorites from the Wallflowers. Next we have 2012's Heads Down from Rival Sons, and the opening track to this one is Keep On Swinging. Just a fantastic album from the Rival Sons. The opening track just kicks off with, again, snarling guitars from Scott Holiday, and then it kicks in with Miley on the drums. It sounds very Zeppelin-esque to me, and it's a fun album opener. If you're not familiar with the Rival Sons and this album, check it out. The opening track, again, is called Keep On Swinging. Excellent track. Next, another British band, and one of my favorites. This is The Verve and their album Urban Hymns, and this opens up with the classic Bittersweet Symphony, in which you had the strings that were sampled and they were later sued for, but a great track. Richard Ashcroft's vocals and lyrics are awesome, and then you have Scott McCabe and his kind of spacey guitar fill in there, kind of the ambient sounds. Just an excellent track, and an overall excellent album from The Verve. Next we had the Velvet Revolver. This is their album Contraband, and this album opens up with the track called Sucker Train Blues. It just opens up with Scott McKagan, is that his name? The bass player, Scott McKagan, and Slash, just kind of doing like a dual guitar and bass riffs kind of intertwined. Then you hear this police siren come on, and then it just kicks in with the full band, and Scott Weiland's sneering vocals. Just an excellent album opener. Again, a great album from Velvet Revolver, and I wish they would release their first album on vinyl. Right, next we have The Dead Weather, and this is their album Dodge and Burn, and the opening track on this album is I Feel Love Every Million Miles, and again, just kicks off with some really heavily distorted guitar from Jack White. Then the band kicks in with Alison Moss's vocals. Just a tremendous single from the album and a great opener. Next, my favorite band, BRMC. And the opening track is the title to the album, and it is Beat the Devil's Tattoo. It just starts off with this acoustic folk guitar sound. Then it kicks in with Robert Levon Bean's vocals. Just an excellent opener. Very different from the rest of the album, but just one of my favorites from the band. If you're not familiar with this album, definitely worth checking out. And last but not least is Muse, and this is their album The Resistance. And the opening track to this album was Uprising. Kind of just fades in with like this kind of mechanical sound, and then you have the drums going on and the bass, and then it kicks in with that synth piano part. It just sounds really great. Matthew Bellamy's vocals are tremendous on this track. Just a fun opener, and again, another great album. This is one of my favorites from Muse. This is the Resistance, and the opening track is Uprising. Well, that's going to do it for this two-part series. There are so many more albums I could have shown. Just want to keep it limited to 20 for now. Again, I want to say thank you to everyone that has submitted a video so far. If you are watching this and you want to jump on board, please feel free to make a video. I'd love to see what you had to share. And until next time, take care. Thanks.